Hello and welcome to this lecture where we will introduce Zen Framework 2 along with some of the benefits of this framework. First of all, what is Zen Framework 2? Well, it's a very popular and professional open source PHP framework that builds upon best practices, and it's very enterprise friendly. It's modern in the way that it utilizes new tools and technologies that are available on the market. And it enables developers to write better code and to write it fast. It's mainly used for web applications, although it can be used for anything else you'd like. It was initially released in September 2012, so as you can imagine, it's very mature by now. It's developed by Zen Technologies, the company behind PHP, plus the community. Actually, like I mentioned before, Zen Framework is an open source framework. It's hosted on GitHub, so you can go ahead and create a pull request there if you would like to contribute. So now I'll talk a bit about the benefits of Zen Framework 2. First and foremost, Zen Framework 2 has a modular architecture. This means that code is logically separated into modules. This is a core part of the framework, unlike in Zen Framework 1, where this could actually be a bit tricky because it was not supported by default. You had to configure this. The concerns are separated in an application built on Zen Framework 2 because you will have multiple modules. For example, you can have a user module which handles everything related to users, and a company module that handles everything related to company. So you see that these concerns are very separated and clearly defined. This leads to cleaner and more structured code. And as you can imagine, this framework is very extensible because you can basically just plug and play with third-party modules that you find online. So you can install a module that handles everything related to users, from logging in to registering to retrieving forgotten passwords and so on. And actually this can lead to a high degree of code reuse, and it can save you a lot of time. And the framework is also very modern. And this is because it uses modern PHP features. And this is possible because a PHP version greater than or equal to 5.3 is required. This means that namespaces are used, and features like lambda function, closures, late static binding, and so on. These can be used, and this gives the developers of the framework some liberty, and where they might otherwise have to write less elegant code, these features can be used to write clean code that perhaps even performs better. And the framework is 100% object-oriented. This means that all of the code is written within classes or interfaces and so on. And in fact, almost all of your code will be too. You will need to write a bit of code within some configuration arrays, but most of your code will reside within classes. And another great thing about Zen Framework 2 is that the various components within the framework, they are loosely coupled. This means that the components are developed keeping in mind that they should not depend on other components. So what this means is that you can take one component out of the framework and use it without relying on a whole bunch of other components. And together, all of these components, they form an extensive web application framework. And that's why the framework is used so extensively for web applications. But like I said, it's not a requirement. And components can even be used as standalone libraries. So you can take, for example, the authentication component, take it out, use it in an application that doesn't even have to be developed in Zen Framework 2. And now I'll talk a little bit about dependency injection. If you're not familiar, with dependency injection, don't worry, because we'll get back to it. But Zen Framework 2 provides a dependency injection container. Basically, what this means is that the dependencies among services or objects are managed. So instead of wiring objects together because one object depends on another, this wiring logic is centralized for you and actually can be done automatically. So you don't have to write this boilerplate code in many different parts of your application. So Zen Framework 2 implements the inversion of control design pattern, and this is accomplished by implementing the service locator pattern, which we'll get back to later on. So the benefits of using dependency injection are many. First of all, the code base is much easier to test because it's very easy to inject dependencies into objects rather than having them hard-coded within your classes. And you avoid repeatedly having to wire the objects together. And a great thing is that the use of a DI container or dependency injection container is optional. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. So actually you don't have to worry about this for now at all, but I just wanted to mention it. So in Zen Framework 2, because the framework implements mainly the service locator pattern, a lot of developers will be practicing dependency injection without even realizing it. So this is really where the framework shines, because it makes the code more structured by getting you used to thinking in a specific way. And while you're developing, you don't even realize this so much. You just get used to it and it seems natural. The framework is also extensively unit tested by using PHP unit. This means that the framework is very robust. It's less likely that a bug will be introduced when adding new features or when another bug is patched, because each time a change will be committed, the test suite, all of the unit tests will be executed and you will see if something breaks. The Zen Framework 2 project uses Git for revision control, so it's hosted on github.com, and pull requests must be supported by unit tests. So this enforces a higher code standard than many other open source projects. And there is a good quality control that is enforced by the developers of the framework. So that's all for now, but I want to mention that you don't have to worry if you didn't understand all of the concepts in this presentation, because we will get back to it. So don't worry if you didn't understand everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture.